when a ruthless sheriff and a violent biker gang raid a black woman's farm in the Deep South. They believe she's just another widow they can intimidate into silence, but they don't know Maya Johnson is a legendary Marine sniper. From the first chilling threats to the burning of her land, Maya and her son Deshaun are forced into a brutal standoff where systemic racism, betrayal, and corruption run deep. With allies scarce and even family ties breaking under pressure, she must summon the ghosts of her past battles to defend her home. Each chapter builds the storm, warnings ignored, ambushes launched, betrayals revealed, a siege at sundown, and finally a reckoning written in gunfire and ash. In the end, Maya's defiance not only destroys her oppressors but plants the seeds of justice in a land scarred by hate, proving that legacy and survival can rise even from ashes. The cicadas screamed louder than the silence of the small southern town, out on the edge of the county, under the weight of a humid night sky. Maya Johnson knelt in her fields, checking the soil like her father once taught her. Her hands were rough, her back aching, but her eyes sharp, steady, unblinking, still carried the soldier's fire. From the dirt road, headlights appeared, a sheriff's cruiser. Maya rose slowly, wiping her hands on her jeans as the car door slammed. Sheriff Dalton Reeves, a white man with a gut hanging over his belt and a smirk sharpened by years of unchecked power, strutted toward her. "Evenin', Miss Johnson," he drawled, dragging the vowels. "Late night farmin', or just too hot to sleep?" Maya kept her tone even. "Soil doesn't care what time it is. It needs tending," he chuckled. "You sure put a lot of work into this land. Shame if something happened to it." Maya's jaw tightened. "Is that why you're here? To threaten me on my own farm?" Reeves raised his hands. "Muck, now, don't get all worked up. Just letting you know there's been talk. Boys riding through. Folks restless. Wouldn't want trouble spilling your way." "Restless," Maya repeated. "That what you call it when they burn crosses and run black families out their homes?" His grin widened. "Best thing you can do is keep your head down, Maya. Sell the land. Move somewhere friendlier." The silence stretched, broken only by the buzzing night. Maya's voice cut like glass. "This land's been in my family 3 generations. My father fought for it. My husband died working it. I'm not leaving." The sheriff leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Stubborn don't suit you. I'd hate to see you and that boy of yours suffer because of pride." Maya stared back, unblinking. Behind her calm, the Marine sniper in her stirred, calculating distances, exits, weaknesses. Finally, Reeves tipped his hat and ambled back to his car. "Suit yourself. Don't say I didn't warn ya." The cruiser disappeared into the night, leaving dust and dread. From the farmhouse porch, Deshaun, 16 and lanky, called out, "Mama, what did he want?" Maya walked back slowly, every step heavy with memory. "Same thing. He always wants power." Deshaun frowned. "They ain't gonna leave us alone, are they?" She placed a hand on his shoulder, gripping firm. "No. But we don't run from shadows. We face them." Inside the house, the old Marine rifle hung above the mantel, polished, waiting. Few knew it was there. Fewer still knew the woman who once carried it. As the night deepened, the whispers of cicadas gave way to a darker sound, motorcycles in the distance. The morning sun crept slow over Johnson Farm, casting long shadows on the duet rows of corn. Maya had barely slept. Sheriff Reeves' words echoed in her head like old gunfire. "I'd hate to see you and that boy of yours suffer because of pride." At the kitchen table, Deshaun pushed his cereal away. "Mama, I'm serious," he said, voice tight. "We can't stay. They're cumin. I can feel it." Maya folded her arms, steady as stone. "And run where? You think if we leave, they'll just let us be?" "No, baby. Men like them. They hunt weakness." Deshaun leaned forward. "Then call somebody. The state police, the FBI. They won't listen." Her voice was flat, carved from years of experience. "Sheriff's got the town in his pocket. Without proof, we're just a story no one wants to hear." Before Deshaun could argue, a knock rattled the door. 3 slow taps, then silence. Maya's hand moved instinctively toward the pistol hidden by the fridge. She opened the door to find Elder Samuel Harris, stooped and gray, leaning heavy on his cane. The old church deacon's eyes darted left and right before settling on Maya. "Child," he whispered, "we need to talk." Maya ushered him in. Deshaun poured him water, but the elder waved it away. "They're planning something," Samuel said, lowering himself into a chair. "The riders those bikers met with Reeves last night at Mac's Tavern. Whole place heard it. They said they're comin' for you. Maya's jaw flexed. When? Soon, maybe tonight. They're drunk on hate, Maya and Reeves. Reeves is giving M cover. Deshaun shot to his feet. See, Mama, we gotta go. We can't fight all of M. Samuel shook his head. He's right, girl. You can't take this on alone. Maya's gaze hardened. You both think I'm just a farmer. But you forget who I was before I came back here. Deshaun's voice broke. I ain't forgot. But you ain't in Afghanistan no more. This ain't war. Yes, it is. Maya cut in, sharp as a rifle crack. Silence filled the room. She softened, laying a hand on her son's trembling arm. It's the same war, just different soil. Samuel exhaled, grief in his eyes. I remember when your daddy stood his ground too, paid for it with his life. Don't let pride write the same story, Maya. Maya's voice lowered to a steel whisper. Daddy didn't die of pride. He died because men like Reeves believe this land don't belong to us. I won't let his blood or my husband's mean nothing. Deshaun looked away, eyes wet. Mama, I just don't want to lose you too. She cupped his face. Then stand with me. Help me protect what's ours. Samuel rose slowly, cane tapping the floor. You got more fight in you than most men I ever knew, but promise me something. Maya, don't let hate eat you whole. That's what they want. I don't fight with hate, she said. I fight with purpose. The elder nodded, but his face carried no peace. As he shuffled out, he muttered, Lord, watch over you, child. That night, while Deshaun slept fitfully, Maya walked the fields. The soil whispered under her boots. Every fence post, every barn window became part of her mental map. Her old Marine training stirred awake, like muscle memory. She knelt by the shed and unearthed a weathered case. Inside lay her sniper rifle, gleaming despite the years. She ran her fingers over the steel, the way a pianist touches keys. Behind her, Deshaun's voice cracked in the dark. You really think you can stop them? Maya didn't turn. I don't think. I know. He stepped closer, fear trembling in his words. What if they kill us? Maya finally faced him, her eyes steady. Then we go down. But if we win, son, if we win, they'll never forget who we are. Far off, across the county line, laughter and engines roared inside Mac's Tavern. Gang leader Rick Viper Calloway slammed his beer down. Tomorrow night, we ride out to that woman's farm, burn her fields, break her will. The sheriff, nursing whiskey beside him, smirked. Just don't kill her. Dead woman's a mess of paperwork. Scared woman's easy. The bikers howled with cruel laughter. But in the darkness of Johnson Farm, Maya Johnson sat polishing her scope, every motion calm, deliberate, deadly. The storm was coming, and she was ready. The night was heavy with humidity, the air thick enough to choke. Out in the distance, headlights pierced the dark, dozens of them, trucks rumbling, motorcycles growling like predators hungry for blood. On the farmhouse porch, Deshaun's hands trembled as he gripped the railing. Mama, they're here. Maya stood behind him, calm, a silhouette against the kitchen lamp. She lowered the scope of her rifle and whispered, Then let's welcome them. The riders roared into the fields, engines spitting fire, headlights scattering shadows across the corn, bottles shattered, flames licking the rows. Their laughter carried cruelty, every word a knife. Where you at, farmer girl? A voice bellowed. Come on out and play. Another shouted, We're just here to borrow your land. The laughter that followed was jagged, sharp. Deshaun swallowed hard. Mama, they're gonna burn everything. Not if I burn their pride first, Maya murmured. Her eyes never left the scope. The first trap sprang silent. A wire strung between fence posts caught the lead motorcycle. Tires skidded, metal screamed. The rider flipped headfirst into the dirt. His bike rolled and exploded in sparks. Jesus, what the hell? Another rider yelled, swerving. More curses followed. Engines screeched as they tried to dodge sudden trenches Maya had dug along the rows. Tires sank. Trucks tilted. One slammed into a ditch, its headlights sputtering out. Watch the damn ground. Viper Calloway barked, rage in his voice, from the shadows of the barn loft. Maya exhaled slow, her breathing steady. Marine dash, precise. One shot, one message. She squeezed the trigger. The crack split the night. A bullet kissed the radiator of the nearest truck, steam hissing out like a dying beast. What the? Who the hell's shoot? Another shot. A motorcycle's gas tank ruptured, flames spilling bright against the crops. Sniper, we got a damn sniper. The riders scrambled, ducking behind trucks and bikes, their laughter replaced with frantic shouts. Deshaun crouched beside his mother, eyes wide. They don't even see you. They don't need to, Maya said. chambering another round. They just need to know I see them. Out by the road, Sheriff Reeves sat in his cruiser, headlights off. He lit a cigarette, smoke curling from his lips as he watched chaos unfold. His deputy shifted nervously in the passenger seat. Sheriff, maybe we ought to step in. This is getting quiet, Reeves snapped. Let the boys blow off steam. She's scared, that's all that matters. She cave. But the gunfire told a different story. Reeves' smirk faltered. Back in the fields, Viper shouted. Y'all said she was just a farmer. Who the hell's riding out here with military gear? One of his men crawled behind an overturned bike, sweat pouring down his face. This ain't no warning shot. Whoever that is, they trained. Another burst out, panic high in his throat. That ain't no farmer, Viper. She's hunting us. Maya's voice rang from the shadows, carried on the wind, low and lethal. This is my land, my home. You step on it, you bleed on it. Deshawn's breath caught. Mama, they heard you. Good, Maya said. Fear travels faster than bullets. The riders fired wild into the night, their bullets ripping into barns, trees, the soil itself. Sparks lit the air, but not one round touched Maya cowards. Viper roared. Flush her out. Burn the damn house if you have to. Deshawn froze. They're cumin for the house. Maya grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the back porch. We move now. They slipped through the shadows. Maya laid down suppressive fire, every shot placed not to kill, but to cripple. Tires shredded. Engines coughed smoke. Headlights blinked out, swallowed by the night. One rider, brave a roar, more foolish than the rest, broke from cover. Torch in hand, he sprinted toward the farmhouse, screaming, Gonna burn you out, bitch. Deshawn's heart lurched. Mama, but Maya was already sighted in one sharp breath. One trigger pull, his torch exploded in a burst of fire. The man dropped, howling, rolling in the dirt. Gasps echoed across the field. Fear spread like wildfire. She ain't no farmer, someone whispered. She's death walking. From the road, Reeves' deputy muttered, Sheriff, this ain't looking good. She's talking em apart. Reeves' jaw clenched. Shut up and keep watching. She slipped, but deep down, his gut twisted. He'd underestimated Maya Johnson. Deshawn gripped his phone tight, recording from behind the porch rail. His voice shook as he whispered, The world's gonna see this. They'll know, Mama. They'll know what they tried to do. Maya's eyes stayed locked on the scope. Good, truth's a weapon, too. Another shot cracked. Another bite silenced. The riders, once drunk on laughter, now scrambled like rats in a flood. Viper screamed above the chaos. Fall back, damn it. Engines roared again, but this time they fled, limping trucks, sputtering bikes, dragging broken pride with them. The fields smoldered, ash drifted on the wind. Silence, at last. Deshawn lowered his phone, chest heaving. We beat them. Maya's face stayed hard, eyes sweeping the horizon. No, we bought time. They'll be back. She lifted the rifle, slung it over her shoulder, and whispered like a prayer, Next time, we end it. Morning light stretched across the farm, revealing blackened soil and charred corn rows. Smoke still curled faintly from the earth where the riders had fled. The land looked wounded, but alive. On the porch, Maya sat with a rag in her hands, cleaning her rifle piece by piece. Her movements were methodical, each stroke of the cloth steady. Deshawn stared at the ruined fields. They'll come back, won't they? Yes, Maya said simply. Before he could respond, tires crunched on gravel. A sheriff's cruiser rolled up the drive, slow, deliberate. Deshawn stiffened. It's him. Maya rose. Calm, as ever, and stepped down to meet Sheriff Reeves. He climbed out of his car, hat tilted low, a smug smirk plastered on his face despite the wreckage around him. Well now, he drawled, surveying the scorched earth. Seems like you had yourself a little party last night. Maya's tone was flat. Call it self-defense. Reeves chuckled. Self-defense, huh? Funny thing is, I don't recall no calls cumin in, no official reports. You sure you didn't just overreact to some boys passing through? Deshawn snapped. They tried to burn down our house. Reeves' smile widened as he turned to the boy. Easy, son. Don't raise your voice to the law. Folks might mistake that for hostility. Maya stepped between them, her voice sharp as glass. Don't talk to my son. Reeves' smirk faltered, just slightly. Touchy, fine. Let's keep this between grown folks. He leaned closer to Maya, lowering his voice. Word around town says you're sittin' on trouble, Maya. Illegal firearms, dangerous behavior. I'd hate for something official to come of that. Maya's eyes narrowed. You mean you'd hate for me to keep resisting you? He tilted his head. Call it what you want. I'm giving you a chance. Sell this land, leave, and all this unpleasantness disappears. Maya crossed her arms. And if I don't? His grin spread, slow and venomous. Then, I'll have no choice but to do my duty. Paperwork's easy when you've got a judge in your pocket. One raid, one confiscation order, and you'll be the one sitting in jail. Your boy, too, Deshaun muttered under his breath. Crooked bastard. Reeves whipped his gaze toward him, voice snapping. What was that? Maya answered before her son could. He said the truth. The sheriff's jaw tightened. He stepped back, eyes scanning the rifle parts laid out on the porch table. That yours? Maya's voice carried no apology. My husband's, my father's, mine. Doesn't matter whose name you put on it. It stays here. Reeves sneered. Careful now. Folks might start asking what a farmer's doing with a sniper rifle. Maya leaned in, her voice a low growl. Let 'em ask. Maybe I'll tell 'em I earned it defendin' a country that don't even defend me. The silence that followed was heavy, cut only by the chirping of morning birds. Reeves' eyes flickered just for a moment, with something that looked like unease, but he masked it quick, chuckling as he tipped his hat. Suit yourself, Maya. Don't say I didn't try to help. He turned and walked back toward his cruiser. Deshaun called after him, unable to hold back. We got proof, you know. We recorded everything last night. Reeves paused mid-step, then slowly turned, his smile ice. Careful with that camera, boy. Phones have a way of disappearing during police business. Maya stepped forward, placing herself squarely between Reeves and her son. Her voice was steel. If you touch him, or that footage, you'll regret it. The sheriff studied her for a long moment, eyes narrowed. Then, with a dry laugh, he slid into his car. See you soon, Miss Johnson. The cruiser rolled away, leaving only dust in its wake. Deshaun exhaled shakily. He's gonna come back with a warrant, isn't he? Maya's jaw was set. Yes, so what do we do? She picked up the rifle, reassembling it piece by piece. We prepare. Deshaun hesitated. Mama, you're not scared, are you? Her hands never faltered. Scared, every minute. But fear don't stop me. It fuels me. Deshaun looked at the blackened fields, then back at his mother. This ain't fair. You fought for this country. Daddy did too. Why's it always us fightin' to just breathe? Maya's eyes softened, but her voice carried weight. Because truth is a threat to power, and we carry truth in our skin, son. That's why they'll never stop cumin, and that's why we'll never stop fightin'. That night, whispers ran through town like wildfire. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones at the diner, the church steps, the gas station. They say the riders got run out by one woman. Sheriff's mad as hell, plottin' something bigger. She can't hold out forever. They'll crush her. But none dared speak openly. Fear was currency, and everyone was in debt. Back on Johnson Farm, Maya stood at her porch, rifle in hand, eyes on the horizon. The sheriff's hand had been revealed. The next move would be his. The kitchen smelled faintly of cornbread and gun oil. Maya sat at the table, dismantling her rifle with surgical precision. Deshaun scribbled in his notebook beside her, sketching the layout of the farm like blueprints for war. He glanced at her, voice low. Mama, what if we called Uncle Calvin? He's got pull with folks in town. Maybe he could help. Maya froze mid-motion, the steel barrel glinting in her hands. Calvin don't help nobody but Calvin. Deshaun frowned. But he's family. Family don't mean loyalty, Maya said. You'll learn that. The knock came just before sundown. Heavy, deliberate. Maya opened the door to find Calvin Johnson, her younger brother, standing on the porch in a crisp button-up, gold chain gleaming against his chest. His eyes darted around, nervous but dressed in confidence. Maya, he said, forcing a smile. Ain't seen you in a while. She crossed her arms. Not since you tried to buy Daddy's land for pennies. What do you want? Calvin raised his hands. Now don't start like that. I came to warn you. Deshaun stepped forward, hopeful. Warn us about the sheriff. Calvin sighed. Yeah, Reeves is coming down on you hard. Says you're dangerous. Says he's got paperwork and motion guns, child endangerment, hell, maybe even terrorism charges. Maya's jaw clenched. And how would you know all that? Calvin hesitated, then muttered, I got friends in his circle. Maya's eyes narrowed. Friends or masters? He winced. Don't start that, sis. They sat at the table, tension thick as smoke. Calvin rubbed his hands together. Look, Maya, I'm trying to help. Sheriff's got folks convinced you're unstable. You sittin' out here with rifles and traps. Scarrin' white folks, Maya cut him off, voice sharp. They tried to burn us alive. Calvin, and you sittin' in bars with the men who sent them. Calvin slammed his hand on the table. You don't get it. I live here too. I got a business, a family. I can't be on the wrong side of Reeves. Deshawn's voice rose, angry. So, you'd rather betray us? Calvin snapped back. I'm surviving. Y'all out here playin' soldier, makin' it worse for everybody black in this county. You think they ain't watchin' me too? You think I don't feel it every damn day? Maya's voice dropped, cold and steady. The difference is, I don't bow to it. Calvin leaned closer, desperation in his eyes. You could make this easy. Sell the land. Take the money. Start fresh, somewhere else. Reeves would let you walk. Maya's silence cut deeper than any shout. She looked at her brother, disappointment heavy in her eyes. You sound just like them, she whispered. Calvin flinched. I sound like someone who wants to live, Deshawn spat. You sound like a coward. The room crackled with anger. Finally, Calvin pushed back from the table, rising to his feet. You don't see it now, he said, voice trembling, but you're dragging us all down with you. I'm not going under for your pride. Maya stood too, her voice like steel. This ain't pride, Calvin, it's survival with dignity. You gave yours away for a heartbeat. They stared at each other, the sister who carried scars of war, the brother who carried scars of compromise. Then Calvin's eyes hardened. Reeves is cumin. Tonight, tomorrow, don't matter. He's got a warrant, and when he does, not even you can stop it. Maya's jaw tightened. You gave him my past, didn't you? Calvin's silence was answer enough. He turned toward the door. Deshawn shouted after him. Uncle Calvin, why, we're family. Calvin didn't look back. Family don't stop bullets. The door shut behind him, heavy as betrayal. Later that night, Maya and Deshawn sat in the quiet. The cicadas outside screeched, their song endless. Deshawn's voice was barely a whisper. He sold us out. Maya's eyes stayed fixed on the rifle across the table. Yes, you still trust anybody. Maya let the silence stretch before answering. Trust is a luxury. We live on necessity. Deshawn's fists clenched. Then what's necessary? Maya's eyes lifted, sharp as a blade, preparing for the storm. At the sheriff's office across town, Reeves poured himself a drink. Calvin sat stiff in a chair across from him, hands folded like a man praying for mercy. I gave you what you wanted, Calvin muttered. Told you she was a sniper. Told you she's armed to the teeth. That enough? Reeves smirked. More than enough. Now I can write me a fine little report. Crazy ex-Marine, unstable, stockpiling weapons, dangerous to herself and her boy. He raised his glass in a mock toast. By the time the sun sets tomorrow, that farm'll be stripped clean, and your sister, she'll be beggin' for mercy. Calvin swallowed hard, but said nothing. Back on the farm, Maya stood at the window, watching the tree lines sway in the wind. Her voice was quiet, but it carried steel. They're not just cumin with torches this time, Deshawn. They're cumin with badges. Deshawn looked at her, fear battling with determination. Then what do we do? Maya gripped the rifle, eyes unblinking. We remind them who I am. The sun dipped low, setting the fields ablaze with a copper glow. Shadows stretched long across the Johnson farm, as though the earth itself held its breath. Maya checked the perimeter one last time. Traps disguised as brush, escape routes mapped in her mind. Deshawn followed close, his notebook clutched like scripture. You feel it too, he whispered, but Maya nodded. Storms here. The first sound came like thunder, engines rumbling down the dirt road. Headlights pierced the fading light, a convoy of sheriff's cruisers, dust clouds rising behind them like smoke from a funeral pyre. Deshawn's breath hitched. There's so many. Maya crouched beside him, her hand steady on his shoulder. Numbers don't win fights, preparation does. The convoy halted at the edge of the property. Sheriff Reeves stepped out, broad-shouldered in his tan uniform, hat tilted like a crown. Deputies flanked him, rifles slung, faces carved with smug certainty. And behind them, barely disguised, stood half a dozen riders in hunting jackets and jeans, the same men who'd torched Maya's barn. Reeves cupped his hands, voice booming across the field. Maya Johnson, this is Sheriff Reeves. We got a warrant for your arrest and the removal of your son into protective custody. Step out nice and easy, and no one gets hurt. Maya emerged from the porch, rifle slung across her back but hands empty. Deshawn lingered behind her, fists clenched. She called out, her voice carrying like a drill sergeant's command. Protective custody. From who? the men standing beside you?" A ripple went through the crowd. Reeves smirked, but his voice hardened. "Don't play games. You're an armed danger. Got affidavits saying you threatened community members. Got evidence you're hoarding weapons. You fit every profile of a domestic threat." Maya's jaw tightened. "Funny how the threats are always the ones you can't control," one of the riders muttered. "String her up." A deputy elbowed him, but Reeves didn't rebuke. Instead, he raised his hand. "This your last chance. Maya, come down off that porch." Maya let silence hang in the air, then spoke low enough for only Deshawn to hear. "They want me to shoot first. They want headlines. Black sniper opens fire on law enforcement." Deshawn's whisper was sharp. "So what do we do?" Maya's eyes scanned the tree line. "We hold until they move, then we control the ground." Reeves nodded to his men. Two deputies advanced, shields raised. Behind them, the riders grinned, gripping shotguns. Deshawn's breath quickened. "There, Kuman Mama." Maya's hand shot up, signaling him to stay calm. Her voice rang out across the yard. "You bringed in torches this time too, Sheriff, or just badges to do the same job?" The crowd stirred, deputies shifting, one or two uncomfortable. Reeves' face reddened. "Don't test me, woman." Suddenly, a rider fired into the air. The sharp crack shattered the standoff. Deputies flinched, but Reeves barked, "Move in." Chaos erupted. Deputies surged forward, shields clattering. The riders followed, half drunk on adrenaline. Maya grabbed Deshawn and pulled him behind the porch railing. "Stay low." Bullets splintered the wood as the first wave hit her perimeter. One deputy tripped a hidden wire. A flare shot skyward, bursting crimson. The attackers froze, startled by the sudden light. Maya moved, like liquid, rifle in hand now, eyes narrowing through the scope. She didn't fire to kill, not yet. Instead, she shot clean, sharp, taking out weapons. A shotgun blasted from a rider's hands. A deputy's rifle snapped in two under her bullet. Deshawn gasped, "You're not hitting them." Maya's tone was clipped, controlled. "I'm sending a message. They want a massacre. I'll give them precision." Another rider lunged forward, tossing a Molotov toward the barn. Maya fired once. The bottle exploded midair, raining fire harmlessly across the dirt. The deputies stumbled back, shields raised. "She's insane," one shouted. Reeves snarled, "Hold the line. She's just one woman." From the porch, Maya's voice cut through the night like a blade. "One woman who put your best men in the dirt overseas, Sheriff, and I didn't need backup then, either." The words struck like bullets. Some deputies faltered. They'd heard the stories, the whispers about the Black Marine sniper who vanished after war. Now she stood before them, eyes cold, unflinching. Reeves tried another tactic. "Think about your boy, Maya. You want him to die in a shootout. You want his blood on your hands." Deshawn shouted back before Maya could stop him. "You already tried to kill us. You and your dogs." The yard went silent at the boy's voice. Even the riders shifted uncomfortably, their bravado dimming. Reeves' face twisted. "Take M." Another surge. Deputies closed in, this time with tear gas canisters. One arced through the air, landing on the porch with a hiss. Deshawn coughed, eyes watering. Maya kicked the canister back into the yard, where it burst among Reeves' men. Shouts and coughing followed. Through the haze, a rider tried to rush the porch. Maya met him head-on, rifle butt to the jaw. He crumpled, groaning. Deshawn's eyes widened. "You dropped him like nothing." Maya grabbed his arm. "Steady. I told you. Training don't leave you. Remember that." The sheriff's men fell back, regrouping near their cars. Reeves' face was pale with fury. He shouted into his radio, voice cracking, "Bring the damn dogs. Bring the rest." From the tree line came barking, snarls echoing across the field. Deshawn's stomach twisted. "They brought dogs to..." Maya's eyes stayed locked on the tree line. "They're emptying the whole arsenal. Means they're desperate." She crouched low, her voice soft but sharp. "Desperation makes men reckless. Reckless men make mistakes." The standoff stretched into darkness, farm lit only by headlights and the smolder of tear gas. Deputies whispered, uneasy. Even the riders seemed less sure. One deputy muttered, "This ain't what I signed up for." Another shifted. "She ain't even shooting at us proper. Just disarm." "It don't feel right," Reeves barked. "Shut it. She's dangerous. She's a terrorist. You hear me? A terrorist." But the word hung hollow, failing to take root. On the porch, Maya lowered her rifle, standing tall, voice ringing clear. "You call me a terrorist, but I never burned a man's home. I never hid behind a badge to kill unarmed people." You're the terrorist, and every one of you knows it. For a moment, silence blanketed the yard. Even the dogs stilled, growling low. Reeves' voice cracked with rage. She dies tonight. But the deputies didn't move. Some shifted back. A rider spat. Y'all cowards, we'll finish it ourselves. The riders advanced, but this time they stood alone. Deputies held back, uncertain. Reeves cursed, stomping the dirt, but couldn't rally them. Maya's final warning cut through the chaos. Step 1, foot closer, and I will make it your last. The riders hesitated, seeing the steel in her stance, the unwavering calm in her eyes. For the first time, their bravado cracked. One muttered, "She ain't bluffin'." Another growled, but didn't move. Reeves' fury boiled over. He stormed forward, face red. "Fine. If none of you got the guts, I'll do it myself." He drew his pistol, aiming straight at Maya. Deshawn screamed, "Mama." Maya didn't flinch. Her eyes locked on Reeves, finger tightening on her trigger, not at his chest, but his hand. A single shot cracked. Reeves' gun spun into the dirt, his wrist bleeding. He howled, clutching his arm. The crowd gasped. Maya's voice was ice. "That's mercy. Next time, I don't miss." Silence swallowed the night. Deputies stared, shaken. Riders muttered curses, but dared not advance. Finally, Reeves staggered back, eyes burning with hatred. "This ain't over," he spat. "This is just the beginning." He stumbled toward his car, deputies reluctantly following. The riders glared, but without the sheriff's shield, they melted into the shadows. Engines roared to life. One by one, the convoy retreated, headlights vanishing into the distance. On the porch, Deshawn collapsed into Maya's arms, trembling. "We won." Maya's eyes stayed on the empty road. "We survived tonight. That ain't the same as winning." Her voice dropped, hard as stone. "They'll be back, and next time, they won't come with badges. They'll come with vengeance." She tightened her grip on her son. The cicadas song filling the silence once more. "We just lit the fuse." The farm was quiet again, but it was the wrong kind of quiet, the kind that settles after gunfire, when smoke lingers but the echoes refuse to fade. Maya sat at the kitchen table, rifle disassembled before her. Her hands moved automatically, cleaning each piece with the same ritual precision she'd learned overseas, but her eyes weren't on the weapon. They were somewhere far away. Deshawn hovered in the doorway. "Mama." No response. "Mama, you're scaring me." Her hand froze mid-motion. Slowly, she blinked, as if climbing back from a cliff. "I'm here," she murmured, though her voice was 1,000 miles away. He stepped closer, nervous. "You were different tonight. Like you weren't even you." Maya's jaw tightened. "That's what war does. It builds someone else inside you, someone who knows how to survive when the world stops making sense." Deshawn swallowed. "But that wasn't just survival. That was, I don't even have words. You didn't even look scared." Maya's laugh was bitter, hollow. "Fear don't disappear, baby. You just learn to chain it down. Problem is, sometimes the chain breaks." The clock ticked in the silence. Maya's hands trembled faintly as she set the rifle aside. Deshawn pulled out his notebook, flipping through sketches of traps, defenses, maps. "I want to help more. I don't want to just watch." Maya's eyes snapped up, sharp. "No, you're 13. You ain't carrying this weight. But you're carrying it alone." He shot back. "And it's killing you." Her chest rose and fell, slow and heavy. For a moment she looked away, toward the window where the night pressed against the glass. "You think this farm is heavy. You should see the ghosts that live in my head." Deshawn hesitated, then whispered, "Tell me about them." Maya's lips pressed tight, but the boy didn't flinch, didn't retreat. He just waited, eyes steady. Finally, she spoke. "I see them when it's quiet. Faces I dropped through a scope. Men who never even knew my name. Some wore uniforms, some carried nothing but rage. They all fall the same. And every time, I wonder, did I end something evil, or did I just become it?" Her voice cracked on the last word. Deshawn's throat tightened. "But you saved people, right? You always tell me I saved who I could, but I couldn't save everyone." Her eyes grew distant, misted over. "There was a convoy once. We were ambushed. I picked off the shooters one by one, but I was too slow. One truck didn't make it. I still hear the screams." She covered her face with her hands, whispering, "God help me. I still hear them." Deshawn reached out, awkward but determined, resting his hand on hers. "You saved me tonight. You saved our home. That's what matters." Maya lifted her head, staring at her son, her anchor, her reason. You remind me there's still something worth fighting for, she said softly. He nodded, blinking back his own tears. Then don't carry it alone. Teach me, not to kill. I don't want to be a killer, but teach me to stand. Teach me to make them scared of us, instead of the other way around. Maya studied him. His face was still boyish, soft at the edges, but his eyes burned with something older. She hated it, hated that he had to grow this fast, in this world. But she also saw his father's fire there. Her hand brushed his cheek. You shouldn't have to fight these battles. But since the world don't care what you should or shouldn't have to do, I'll make sure you're ready. The night stretched on. Maya finally rose, motioning him to follow. They stepped into the barn, where tools and old crates lined the walls. She pulled a trunk from beneath a tarp and unlocked it. Inside lay relics of another life, fatigues, medals, photographs, and weapons wrapped in oilcloth. Deshawn's eyes widened. This is all yours. Maya nodded. Everything I swore I'd never touch again. She picked up a medal, turning it in the dim light. They pinned this on me for dropping more men than I could count. They called me a hero, but when I came home, all they saw was another black woman to ignore, another soldier to discard. Deshawn frowned. So why keep it? Maya placed the medal back carefully, because reminders cut both ways. They remind me what I've done, and what I'll never let happen again. She handed Deshawn a pair of old binoculars. First lesson, eyes. You see everything before they see you. That's how you live. He held them to his face, scanning the tree line. What if I miss something? Then, I'll see it. We don't fight alone. Not anymore. As the night deepened, Maya stepped outside, lifting her gaze to the stars. Her voice dropped low, like a prayer. To the ones I couldn't save, I'll save him. I swear it. Deshawn came to her side, slipping his hand into hers. We'll save each other. For the first time that night, Maya allowed herself a small, fragile smile. But across the county, Sheriff Reeves nursed his bandaged wrist with whiskey, his pride burning hotter than the wound. They think they scared me off, he muttered to the riders gathered in the shadows. Tomorrow, we don't come as lawmen. Tomorrow, we come as hunters. The riders grinned, eyes glinting like wolves in the dark. And somewhere deep in Maya's chest, the ghost stirred, whispering that the final reckoning was near. The night was heavy with silence, the kind that presses down on the chest. Deshawn crouched in the loft of the barn, binoculars steady. They're coming, he whispered. Maya already knew. She felt it in her bones, the shift in the wind, the faint hum of engines crawling over gravel roads. She slid her rifle strap over her shoulder, her face carved from stone. Stay sharp. Tonight, everything ends. Headlights appeared first, a snake of light winding toward the farm. But these weren't cruisers. No sirens, no uniforms, just trucks and dirt bikes, packed with men masked in rags and grinning like wolves. The riders at the center truck. Standing in the bed like a general, was Sheriff Reeves. No badge, no pretense, just rage, his arm still bandaged from where Maya had shot him. His voice bellowed across the field, carried by hate. Tonight, we cut the rot out of this county. Burn her down. The riders roared in reply, engines revving like war drums. Deshawn swallowed hard. Mama, there's so many. Maya's hand brushed his shoulder, firm but gentle. Numbers don't matter. You remember the lesson. He nodded, whispering, see before they see you. Her lips curved in the faintest smile. That's my boy. The first Molotov arced through the air. Maya's rifle cracked, glass shattered mid-flight, flames splashing harmlessly into the dirt. Go! Reeves roared. The riders surged. Maya moved like a shadow, every step deliberate. Her rifle sang sharp, controlled bursts. She wasn't aiming to kill. Not yet. Tires exploded. Engines died. Riders spilled off bikes, screaming. Confusion spread like wildfire. Deshawn tracked movements from above. Left side, 3 on foot. Maya pivoted, dropping one with a knee shot, another with a weapon-snapping blast. The third froze, staring at the sniper who never missed. Run, she barked. And he did. But Reeves pushed forward, shotgun blazing, his voice a storm. She's one woman. Take her. 2 riders flanked the barn. Deshawn shouted, Mama, they're trying to circle. Maya cursed under her breath. She grabbed a flare gun from her belt and fired into the night sky. Red light-bathed farm. The traps came alive. Tripwires snapped. Spikes shot up from hidden pits. Fireworks whistled and popped, sowing chaos. Screams filled the air as riders stumbled into snares, blinded by sparks. Reeves bared his teeth. You think you can win this, Maya? You think you're anything but prey? Maya's voice rang back, cold and steady. Funny, that's what your men said overseas, right before they fell. The riders faltered. Reeves snarled. Shut her up. A bullet hissed past Maya's ear. She rolled behind cover, heart pounding. Deshawn's voice cracked through the chaos. Mama. There in the cornfield, 6 of M. Maya's eyes narrowed. She passed him a pistol. If anyone breaks through that door, you don't hesitate. Deshawn's hands shook, but he nodded. You hear me, boy. No hesitation. You live, that's the mission. The cornfield erupted in muzzle flashes. Maya dropped low, crawling through dirt, using darkness as her cloak. Her rifle spoke again, each shot precise. One rider screamed, another fell silent. She was the ghost again, the legend whispered in Marine barracks, the sniper who never blinked. But the ghosts whispered back, each trigger pull pulling her deeper into the abyss. Reeves advanced, bellowing, she can't hide forever. Burn the damn barn. 2 riders lit bottles, fire licking the glass. They charged. Maya rose from the shadows. Crack, crack both. Men dropped before the flames left their hands. Her voice thundered, you will not touch my boy. The riders wavered, fear slithered through their bravado. But Reeves only grew louder, desperate. She's just a woman. Ain't no woman stronger than us. Maya stepped from cover, standing tall in the open, rifle steady. Her voice sliced the night. Then why are you bleeding at my feet? Gasps rippled. Even in the chaos, her defiance carved through. Reeves' face twisted. He leveled his shotgun. You ain't a soldier anymore, Maya. You're just another black bitch who don't know her place. The words split the air like venom. For a heartbeat, silence hung. Then, Maya's reply came, calm as judgment. My place is wherever I decide to stand. Tonight, it's here. The 2 fired at once. His blast tore splinters from the barn wall. Her bullet tore his hat clean off, grazing his skull. Reeves stumbled, blood trickling down his temple. Mama, you hit him, Deshawn shouted. But Reeves only laughed, wild and cracked. You think a scratch stops me? I'll gut you myself. He charged, barreling through his own men, eyes blazing with madness. Maya met him head-on, rifle slung, fists ready, steel against flesh. He swung wild. She ducked, slammed her elbow into his jaw. He staggered, roared, swung again. She caught his wrist, twisting until his shotgun clattered into the dirt. Still think I'm prey, she hissed. Reeves spat blood. You're dead, either way. If I fall, they'll come back. They'll never stop. Maya's grip tightened. Her voice was low, deadly. Then, they'll learn the same lesson you did tonight. Fear cuts both ways. They grappled, bodies crashing into dirt. Reeves clawed at her face, snarling. Maya drove her knee into his ribs, forcing him down. But he was a brute, thick with rage. With a surge, he flipped her, hand at her throat. Deshawn screamed from the loft. Mama, her vision blurred. The ghosts pressed close, whispering surrender. But then Deshawn's voice cut through, raw and desperate. Fight, Mama. Don't let him take you. Strength surged back into her limbs. She rammed her forehead into Reeves' nose. He howled, clutching his face. She rolled free, gasping. Her hand found the rifle beside her. She swung it like a hammer. The butt cracked against his skull. Reeves collapsed to his knees, dazed. Maya stood over him, rifle aimed at his heart. The yard fell silent. The riders froze, watching their leader kneel in the dirt, blood dripping down his face. Maya's voice thundered across the night. This man wears no badge tonight. This man hides behind no law. He came to burn, to kill, to terrorize, and he failed. Her eyes swept over them, sharp as blades. Go back and tell every man who follows hate. This farm is not theirs to take. This family is not theirs to break. And if they come again, they'll join him. She pressed the barrel to Reeves' chest. Do you understand me? The riders shifted, muttering. Fear spread like contagion. One by one, they backed away. Reeves coughed blood, laughing weakly. Go on, do it. Kill me. Make their story true. Maya's finger hovered on the trigger. The ghosts screamed for blood. The boy's voice begged for mercy. Her breath trembled. Finally, she lowered the rifle. No, death's too easy. You'll live broken. You'll live beaten. And when your men whisper about this night, they'll remember the woman who spared you. She stepped back, voice like thunder. Leave. Now. The riders dragged Reeves to his feet. His eyes burned with hatred, but his body sagged with defeat. Engines roared back to life. One by one, the trucks pulled away, swallowed by the night. Silence returned. Only the cicadas sang. Deshaun rushed down from the loft, throwing his arms around her. You did it, Mama. You beat him. Maya hugged him tight, her voice breaking. No, baby, we survived him. She looked to the horizon, where dawn threatened. This war ain't over. But tonight, we reminded them who we are. The farm still smoldered. Smoke curled into the pale dawn sky, carrying the smell of charred timber and gunpowder. What had been the Johnson barn was now nothing more than blackened ribs jutting against the light. Chickens roamed loose. Dazed by the night's chaos, Maya stood at the edge of the ruins, her rifle slung across her back, hands blistered from fire and recoil. Her eyes were red, but not from smoke. Deshaun leaned against the porch rail, his arm bandaged tight, staring into the ash like he could still see the men who had come to destroy them. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then Deshaun broke the silence. Mama, it's gone. Everything. The barn, the tractor, Daddy's old truck, all of it. Maya's jaw clenched. Not all of it. We're still standing. His voice cracked. But at what cost? We killed them, Mama. Sheriff Reeves. Those bikers, they're dead because of us. Maya turned to him, eyes hard but softening when they met his. No, baby. They're dead because of themselves. Because hate eats its own. We just refuse to bow. Before he could answer, the sound of tires crunching gravel pulled their attention. A caravan of vehicles rolled up the dirt road, marked with the state police insignia. Uniformed officers stepped out, led by Captain Hayes, a stern man with silver hair and watchful eyes. He scanned the wreckage, then turned to Maya. Mrs. Johnson. Maya lifted her chin. That's me. Hayes studied her burned clothes, the rifle on her back, the boy beside her. We've had multiple reports. Gunfire, explosions, bodies found down the road. What the hell happened here? Maya didn't flinch. Ask your sheriff. Oh, White, you can't. He's dead. The captain's eyes narrowed. Sheriff Reeves is dead, along with his dogs, Maya said flatly. The officers exchanged uneasy looks. Hayes stepped closer, lowering his voice. Do you understand the weight of what you're saying? If it's true, the entire county just lost its highest law officer in a gunfight on your property. Maya crossed her arms. Then maybe the state ought to ask why he brought a lynch mob to my land instead of the law. Deshaun muttered bitterly. They won't care. They never do. Hayes glanced at the boy, then back at Maya. His face softened, just slightly. I care about the truth, but truth cuts to ways. Maya held his stare. Then you better be ready to bleed. By noon, the farm was crawling with investigators. Bodies covered with tarps were carried out to trucks. Charred patches of earth were photographed. Neighbors gathered at the fence line, whispering in clusters. Some stared with fear, others with awe. A few spat in the dirt, muttering that justice had finally come to the Johnson farm. But more than a few, mostly the younger folk looked at Maya with something else in their eyes. Respect, Elder Samuel. Harris approached, his cane tapping steady. He stood beside Maya, surveying the wreckage. Lord Almighty, he whispered, you truly stood in the fire. Maya's voice was hoarse. The fire stood in me. He nodded. They'll try to twist this, paint you as the villain. They already have, Deshaun said bitterly. Samuel touched his shoulder. But truth has a way of growing roots, even in ash. Inside the house, Captain Hayes sat at the kitchen table with Maya. His recorder clicked as he leaned forward. Tell me everything, from the first threat to the last shot. Maya's story was blunt, unsparing. How Reeves had threatened her, how the riders stormed the fields, how the sheriff himself fired first, how Deshaun nearly died in the chaos. She didn't embellish, she didn't soften. When she finished, Hayes turned off the recorder. His eyes lingered on her face. You understand? This'll spark a storm. The riders had connections. Reeves had allies. Some people will call this murder. Maya leaned forward, voice low and fierce. And some people will call it survival. You choose which side you're on. Hayes studied her, then slowly nodded. I know corruption when I see it. Reeves was a cancer. Maybe it took fire to cut him out. For the first time in days, Maya allowed herself a breath. That evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Deshaun sat with his mother on the porch. Mama, he said quietly. Yeah, baby, you think Daddy's proud of us, of what we did. Maya closed her eyes, feeling the heat of the fire, the echo of gunfire, the ghosts of the past pressing close. She laid her arm around him. I think your daddy's at peace now, 'cause his family didn't bow, 'cause his son stood tall. Deshaun leaned into her, tears streaking his cheeks. I was scared the whole time. So was I, Maya admitted. Bravery ain't about not being scared. It's about standing anyway. Days later, the headlines screamed, "Corrupt Sheriff Exposed in Deadly Standoff." Johnson Farm survivors tell story of hate and resistance. Some papers twisted the tale, painting Maya as a dangerous vigilante, but others carried the truth, printed in bold black letters. Elder Samuel held up one such paper in church the following Sunday. His voice rang out. They tried to burn her land, but all they did was light the fire of justice. The congregation erupted, some clapping, some weeping. In the back row, Maya sat quietly, her son's hand in hers. She wasn't interested in fame or fear. She wanted only one thing: peace. As the choir sang, she whispered to herself, "Let the ashes speak. Let justice rise." And outside, where the fields had burned, the first green shoots pushed through the blackened soil, fragile, defiant, alive. The weeks after the fire passed in a haze of rebuilding. Neighbors who once kept their distance now arrived with hammers and nails, wood and wire. Some came out of guilt, others out of pride, but most came out of respect. The Johnson farmhouse, scarred but still standing, became the heart of quiet activity. Every board nailed, every wall painted, carried with it a silent oath: "We will not let hate have the last word." Deshaun moved among them, his bandaged arms slowly healing. For the first time in his young life, people in town nodded to him, not with suspicion, but with admiration. He wasn't just the Johnson boy anymore. He was the son who stood with his mother when death came calling. One evening, Maya walked the fields alone. The ground was blackened still, but here and there, tender green shoots were breaking through, life reclaiming what fire had stolen. Her boots crunched softly on the soil as she whispered, "You see this, Aaron? You see this, Daddy? The land remembers." Behind her, Elder Samuel's cane tapped steady. "It does, child. Land don't forget who tended it, nor who tried to take it." Maya glanced at him, a rare smile flickering. "I didn't think we'd survive that night." "You did more than survive," Samuel said. "You carved truth into the soil. Folks can't ignore it now." At the courthouse 2 weeks later, Captain Hayes stood before reporters. "Sheriff Reeves is confirmed dead," he announced. "Our investigation shows overwhelming evidence of corruption, collusion with violent criminal groups, and abuse of power." The Johnson family acted in defense of their lives and property. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some shouted in protest, but others clapped, their voices rising in support. Maya watched from the back of the room, Deshaun beside her. She didn't crave vindication, but when Hayes' words echoed across the marble floor, she felt something uncoiled in her chest. Not relief exactly, but release. Back at the farm that night, Deshaun spoke softly as they sat on the porch. "Mama, do you think people will remember this? Us, what happened here?" Maya sipped her tea, eyes on the horizon. "They'll remember. Maybe not the way we lived it, maybe not all the truth, but they'll remember enough." Deshaun frowned. "Enough for what?" "For the next family who's told they don't belong, for the next mother who stands her ground, for the next sheriff who thinks his badge makes him a god." She reached over and took his hand. "Our blood bought a piece of tomorrow, son. That's legacy." The church bell tolled one Sunday morning, calling the town together. Elder Samuel preached with fire in his voice. "Let it be known," he thundered, "that the Johnson land was tested by fire, and the family who held it did not bend, did not bow. That is not vengeance. That is justice." The congregation rose to their feet, clapping, shouting, some weeping. In the back pew, Maya bowed her head, whispering a prayer. Not for victory, not for fame, just for rest. Months later, the farm had new fences, a rebuilt barn, and fields green with life again. On the porch, Maya cleaned her rifle one last time. She wrapped it carefully in oilcloth, placed it in the weathered case, and carried it to the shed. Deshaun watched her, puzzled. "You ain't gonna keep it by the door?" Maya shook her head. "No, that chapter's closed. This land don't need a sniper. It needs a farmer, and it needs you." Deshaun swallowed hard. "Me. You're the future, baby. This land'll carry your name after mine, but only if you tend it, not just fight for it." Tears pricked his eyes, but he nodded. "I'll try, Mama." She kissed his forehead. "That's all I ask." On a cool autumn morning, Maya walked to the hill overlooking the fields. She stood where her father once stood, where her husband once stood, and where her son now sometimes stood. The wind carried the smell of soil and leaves. The sun lit the rows of corn, swaying gold in the breeze. She whispered to the land itself, "We're still here, and we're not going nowhere." As years passed, stories spread. Some told of a widow who fought off a sheriff's mob with nothing but grit and a rifle. Others painted her as a myth, a ghost who haunted the riders in their last moments. But in the Johnson home, the truth lived on. Deshaun carried it in his heart. The land carried it in its roots, and Maya carried it in her silence. Her legacy wasn't written in books or sung in hymns. It was written in soil, in blood, in the green shoots rising from Ashdod. The land remembered, and so would history.